Hi, my name is Noel Davis with World Composting, and today is week 7 of our Bokashi that is in our 10-gallon tote. So, for an update, it's been in this about 2 weeks after moving it out of the bucket that was sitting in the tote. But now it's time to go take a look and see how it's doing again, and see if this food is starting to break down and if that odor is still there. It was still there last time, and the first time I dumped it out, I realized it was anaerobic. It was not getting the oxygen necessary at the bottom of the bucket to really get this stuff to break down and the worms to work at it. It should have enough air now, and it should be breaking down, but let's take a look and see how it's doing. Alright, I have not opened this up since the last time, except to add some coffee grounds. I haven't stirred it up or anything like that. Actually, no, I didn't even add coffee grounds because of the paper this time. So, again, a lot of liquid on the lid here, so it's wet. One fruit fly on top of this. This is why I kind of added this, to try to block off some of these fruit flies. I think they were starting to nest in here. It wouldn't surprise me if there's still some in here, but, you know, hopefully keep them down a little bit. Oh, maybe not. Maybe that didn't work at all. So there's quite a bit of fruit flies in here. This is what happens when you have rotting food like this. You do get a lot of these fruit flies in here. But that's just going to happen, and you just got to deal with it and hopefully roll with it, and they'll eventually go away. So if I had buried this a little better, if this was a deeper bin, I might be able to do that, or if I was putting it in one of my bags. So first off, I am seeing worms in here. I'm seeing lots and lots and lots, again, of these. See if I can zoom in on this a little bit here by bringing them up here. It'll focus. So you can see on here on my glove, there's lots of little tiny white bugs on here. Those are probably springtails of some sort, or some sort of bug. It's hard for me to tell. I can't really see very well from because of the lighting in here, and I'll probably actually look at it on film and see what it is. So some of this stuff was sticking out a little bit more than it should have, so which is why I've got more fruit flies in here. And still an odor with this stuff. This looks like some sort of piece of chicken or something like that that's still trying to break down. Yep, still smells a little bit. Not too bad, but not great. Whatever's in here is they're really starting to work at it. The worms are starting to get into this. As you can see down here, this does not smell great, but it's not spreading through my basement as far as the smell. But the worms on here are doing really well. They're getting big. They're getting kind of fat in here, which is good. Hopefully they'll continue to work through this stuff. They're finding what they like in here. Let's just dig this up a little bit here in the bottom. Kind of spread it around. The worms are all throughout here. They look nice and healthy. It's a little bit dry in here, it seems, compared to what I thought it would be. But not too bad. You know, it's definitely, some of the food is definitely disappearing faster than others. Like this is a piece of corn on the cob, and it is just, that's what's left of it, really. So it looks like that stuff's breaking up really well. The meats, though, and the bones, those are not. This is right here. This is an olive stem, or I'm sorry, no, a grape stem. These are grapes. And the worms are working at the stem now, but they finished off all the grapes on here. I have had grapes before. They start to smell a little bit like fermented wine a little bit, and then they turn sour typically when you throw them in a bin. But those seem to be working pretty well. Worms aren't quite as active as I would like to see, which isn't good. They probably need a little bit more moisture, maybe even a little bit more air movement in here. This does feel a little bit compacted, but there are a lot of worms in here. I mean, you can see, and they're nice. Some of these worms are nice big fat worms too. Oops, I'm trying to pick one up here to show you. So nice big fat worm right here. So I mean, there's good sized worms in here. Definitely need a little bit more moisture, I think, though. As I'm digging, I'm not getting any smell in this area really. More worms though, which is great. Just dig this up a little bit over here. Here's a big corn cob right here. This one not quite as broken up as the other one. You can see lots of worms in here, lots of movement. Let's just zoom in a little bit more in here. You can see this. If I can find the zoom key. So, and as you can see, like over here, well, now they've all dug down already. Let's just zoom back out a little bit here. You can see there's a lot of worms in this area over here. But they're really starting to move around and get familiar in here a little bit more, I feel. We zoom back out and straighten this out just a little bit. So overall, it's starting to work a little bit better. The meats are not breaking down at all, though. They're I don't know if they're going to or not. I don't think they will. Still lots of fruit flies in this because of all the material, but the worms are starting to really work at this and break it down. Here's this shell. This is not going to go anywhere, I can tell by now. Although it does feel a lot softer. And I can just crush it right now, which is great. Maybe not the joint. Well, no, even the joint I can crush. So this is starting to soften, it looks like. You know, again, there's worms underneath this too. I mean, there's just plenty of worms in here working at this here. Just trying to kill some of these fruit flies that are coming out of here. Let's try to dig up over here a little bit. That's the corner on the cob from over there. All right. Oh, there's something else over here. It looks like an apple. Worms are working at that, it looks like. I'm not sure what this is. Some sort of fruit, maybe a kiwi. So the fruit is, the stuff in here is starting to break down, but it's taken a lot more time than expected to get to this level. You know, some of it still has an odor to it. You know, it's not a great odor by any means. But it is, I mean, the worms are definitely active in here. I mean, there's tons of worms. I mean, I'm amazed at how many worms are in here. I mean, I know I had quite a few to start, but there's actually a lot in here spread throughout this material. So they seem to be multiplying. Oh, I'm not seeing any cocoons. There's another corn on the cob. This one is just completely decimated on the inside. This one is still pretty hard. I can't even break it in half without really putting a lot of force into it. I'm not going to put that much force. So it does look like this needs a little bit more moisture, but overall it is starting to like really break down here, it looks like. I would like to see less bugs as one of my key things. You know, like most people, I don't like having a lot of bugs in my house, but it is working. I'm going to try to bury this stuff down underneath, move this around a little bit. Here's a big pile of worms right here. I mean, look at this. I can't see, there's digging in, but I mean, you can just see, I mean, there's these big worms that are really healthy. It looks like these two right here are connected and mating. For those that have never seen this before, those are definitely two worms that it looks like are connected and are mating. So that means there will be some cocoons in here at some point, or if they're not already. So there's going to be stuff. There's going to be more population in here possibly. There's a lot of food. As you can see from all the material in here, I have been adding coffee grounds every once in a while, but I didn't this past week because I had the paper on top. I was hoping to try to control the fruit fly population, but as you can tell, that didn't work out very, very well. We just bury some of this stuff down in here. About the only thing I would change with this is I wish I had this in a deeper bin. If I had like an 18-gallon tote, or maybe something a little deeper, or started out maybe a little bit closer to the bottom so I could put more material over top of this, would have been great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some water and try to get this a little bit more hydrated, so that way these worms can continue working on this material and hopefully get this down and get this all dissolved into here. So let me just pump in some water here. Just get everything a little bit wetter than it was. Hopefully not cause any anaerobic conditions in the bottom of the bin, but you know, I figure this would be a good thing to do, to add some water. And the other thing I haven't checked, and I don't think it really matters, it didn't feel warm, but we'll just check real quick. 66 degrees, so there's no extra heat here that I'm seeing. You know, it's 60, maybe a degree in here, a degree warmer or two. But nothing major. I mean, it didn't feel like it either, so I don't think that's a major concern for this at this point. But I think that's it for now. I think there's plenty of water actually here on the lid, so I'm going to have to just drop some of that off there. And I'm going to put this back on, and we'll check it in another week and see how they're doing. So that's my update. This is week 7. If you have any more questions about it, please leave a comment, and please subscribe and like my channel. Thank you.